I would like to invite our panelists today, Monsieur El-Khoury from Kafalat. Maître Grace Fatal from the offices of Randa Abu Sulaiman, who's also the legal advisor for Badr. And Ms. Christelle Khalil from Berytech, who's the program manager at Berytech Technology. So I want to make this as relevant as possible to all of you guys. So I'd like to get a show of hands of how many of you are thinking about starting a business or would like to get more information on how you start the business in Lebanon. Legal perspective, support, everything that you can do, perfect. And how many of you already have businesses and just need some more tips and things to grow your business? Okay, so more emphasis on the startup, less on the growth, perfect. So maybe I should start by introducing myself. I'm Desiree El-Shibir. I'm with Endeavor. Endeavor is a nonprofit organization that supports entrepreneurship. We've been around for 13 years in 11 different countries around the world. What we do is we actually concentrate on the businesses that are a bit on the later stage, so not really startup mode, organizations that already have a business model that generates revenues and that is very innovative and has the capability to actually grow and make that entrepreneur into a high-impact entrepreneur to create jobs and help the economy locally. So if you think you qualify your business or know somebody that qualifies, please come talk to me afterwards. So I would like to start with Miss Grace. Oh, Grace. Can I call you Grace? Hi, Grace. Mike? So Grace, I have an idea. I'm an entrepreneur. I live in Lebanon. Do I need to go and create a company halfway across the world in the States, or can I create it here?
No, of course you can create it here.
Okay, and what are the different types of companies that I can create from a legal standpoint?
First of all, it depends on your business and the object of your business. But basically, you can either start as a commerçant without the company, just register yourself as a commerçant with the Ministry of Finance and do your business on your freelance and on your personal name. You can have a business concern, مؤسسة تجارية. You can, and you need to be a commerçant, and this can also be made personally. I mean, you can do it on an individual basis. You can have companies. The most usual type of companies are limited liability companies, which are basically in the form of SARL or SAL. So the difference between either owning an individual business concern or registering yourself as a trader and having a company is with respect to liability, meaning that if you have a company, a limited liability company, then your liability is limited to the contributions that you and your partners have contributed to the company. Also, for a company, you need to be a minimum of 3, so you can't form a company on your own. And this is the difference between here and other countries where you can have a company on your own. Whereas if you have an individual business concern and you're an individual trader, then your liability is unlimited. So you can be,
So I can either start the company on my own, or I can get partners and then create an SAL or SRL.
When you're on your own, it's not really a company, it's a business.
Okay.
It's a مؤسسة تجارية, مؤسسة فردية,
okay.
Business concern. Company, you need partners, you need to be a minimum of 3.
Okay. And you said that there are some capital requirements, so some money that needs to be put up front to start the company?
You need the capital, not when you're working as an individual, but as a company, you need the capital. For SRL, it's a minimum of 5 million Lebanese pounds, and for an SRL, it's 30 million Lebanese pounds.
30 million.
It's approximately $20,000. And you also have, as companies, you have offshore, but this is for doing business outside Lebanon.
Okay. So SRL is more for the smaller companies that require less capital, and SRL for... Exactly. So what is the advantage, or I mean, is there something that I need to keep in mind when I try to decide which one of these I want to make?
Well, you have to look at the type of business. If it's, I mean, in an SRL you have less constraints. You can have shareholders, it's anonymous, you don't have to mention their names, so you can transfer shares without requiring the approval of the company first or the shareholders. You don't pay a stamp duty on the transfer of shares, stamp duty of 3 per mil. You don't have a limit as to the number of shareholders, whereas in SARL it's more restrictive. For instance, from a transfer of parts point of view, you need to have the approval of at least 3/4 of the other partners. And also you pay stamp duty on the transfer of parts, and you have a maximum of 22 partners, so it's for smaller businesses.
So for smaller businesses, good. So speaking of small businesses, I want to talk to Crystal. Crystal, can you tell us a bit about Berytech and what kind of support you guys provide to these small businesses?
Okay, I will talk a bit about, I will start talking about incubation. Why entrepreneurs need incubation. So, okay. Okay, so I will start by introducing the business development centers like Berytech. So we're an incubator. We offer a hosting platform for entrepreneurs. It's suitable for them to start their project and grow it successfully. They have access to technological infrastructure and a vibrant environment. And on the other hand, we provide, as the rest of incubators, so we provide counseling and support for these entrepreneurs to help them start and grow their company successfully. And
so when you say support, what do you mean? Do you give them accounting help? Do you give them HR help? What exactly do you do?
In fact, when we meet with the entrepreneur, we assess their needs, and depending on their company life cycle, we provide the right assistance. So if we're talking about project holders or entrepreneurs just at the first level, so we start by helping them in their business plan. We offer coaching sessions, advice for their feasibility studies, to know more their market, their customers, the competition, to develop more their product and to use the right strategy. If we're talking about more developed company, already a startup or a small and medium company, so the support on this level is more into giving visibility to this company, networking events. We also provide the assistance we offer key performance indicator to track the evolution of their business.
Sounds good, sounds like a great help. Okay, so I've got the company, I know what I want to set it up as, I know that Berytech can help me start it. Now, where do I get the money? I don't have any collateral to actually do that. So, Eli, why don't you tell us there about Kafalat?
Well, Kafalat has been in the market for the past 10 years, helping SMEs to access commercial bank lending. Our business model is based on a triangle between the commercial banks, the states through the central bank, and Kafalat. The commercial banks provides the loan. The central bank provides the subsidy on the interest. Kafalat loans are subsidized loan. And our company, Kafalat, provides its guarantee. Usually we cover 5 sectors for the businesses. We cover 5 sectors: agriculture, industry, tourism, high technology, and handcrafts. In these 5 sectors, we do not cover commercial activities or trade activities.
What do you mean by that?
So I mean by that their business model should be based on a transformation model, and it's not about service, not about trade. And there is an issue here. The business model has to create a value for the economy by creating jobs, stimulating the economic cycle, creating economic growth. Mainly that's what we do.
Sounds good. Now, do we have a question from the audience before we move on? Yes, please. لحظة.
Hello. Okay. Yes. I didn't get what you mean by transformational model. You said it's not based on trade. It means like if I have a company that's get shipment of computer from abroad and sell it in Lebanon and has employees, you won't support me.
Concerning the IT sector, okay, technology and computer and everything like this. Well, what I mean by transformation model, for example, if you're bringing the hardwares, you're doing all the packaging to have an end product which is a PC finally. So we consider it as a transformation model, yes, but it's not about bringing laptops and selling these laptops in Lebanon.
يعني you don't support مثلا if someone want to open a shop like Abd Tahan and sell products, you don't support it.
No, it's a trade though. It is a trade business.
Okay, thank you.
Good. I have another question over there, Makram, then the lady over here.
So my question is, what are the legal and accounting requirements for a company? Are we supposed to have, I don't know, someone from a legal person on the payroll, for example? Are there supposed to be accounting documents that are supposed to be put out every end of year? How much does those cost? Because that actually goes down to the baseline of the business. And what are tax implications?
If you have an SARL or an SAL, which is a limited liability company, you would need to have a lawyer. So you would need to have to hire a lawyer. For an SARL, you don't need an auditor, but for an SAL, you need an auditor. And the auditor will do the financial statements every year and would file them with the Ministry of Finance.
And if I'm not mistaken, it's $5,000 per year to retain a lawyer on your payroll. And this covers minimal type of activities. And
yes, that's 5,000. But then, of course, it depends on every lawyer. It's personal.
But don't you think that this extra cost for companies that are just starting is a prohibitive barrier?
No, because
I can't start a company
you can't.
Unlimited liability, right? Because I'm just starting up. At the same time, I can't get a lawyer and pay him when I'm just starting up.
If you're doing it on your own, you can have a business concern, and you don't need a lawyer. You can do it on your own. But if you have a company, you would need a lawyer, and you can't start up a company without having a lawyer. You will not be able to draft the bylaws, the commercial circular, the board of directors minutes, the minimum employment contracts. These would need to be reviewed by a lawyer. You can't do them on your own.
Makram, I think what you're referring to is a very minimal startup, maybe like a web startup that just wants to start doing business with very minimal capital. And I think what Grace is talking to is the SAL, which is a bit bigger of a company.
SAL or SARL, which is the limited liability companies. This is when you have a company and you're doing business as part of a company, not as an individual. If you're an individual and you want to have a business, you can do it on your own you don't need to have a lawyer. It's better, but you don't need to.
I mean, I understand, but I don't think anyone would want to go into business with unlimited liabilities. That's one. And two, I don't understand why we can't have a model where I can go to a lawyer and say, okay, I want to draft these bylaws. How much does that cost me? Okay, X amount, we're done. Rather than having him on an employment. Because everywhere in the world,
it's retainer per year. It's on a retainer basis.
Exactly, it's on a retainer basis, but I might not need it in my first 5 years. US, UK, they do that. For drafting the annual minutes of the General Assembly, for drafting the resolutions of the Board of Directors, you would need it.
Makram, I think what we're touching on is an issue that has to do with the update of the law, which I don't think Grace is involved directly.
Yeah, this is more from a parliament. I mean, I think this should be. Yeah.
And I do agree with you that there's a lot that needs to be done to get the laws up to date to internet type of businesses and businesses that require very little capital requirement. Even with what she stated, the 5 million or the 30 million, you still need quite a bit of money to start a company, which used to be true in asset-based companies, but not so much true anymore with the internet-based companies where you can start a company with just a server and an internet connection. But definitely there's a lot that needs to be done, and I think Na'abit Mohammed is the place to go and start lobbying, and we probably should think about that and talk to Omar about maybe including that as part of ArabNet. I totally agree. We do have a question here with the lady. Second row.
Hello.
Hi.
We have been hearing during the past few days about accelerators.
Accelerators,
yes.
yes.
Is there in Lebanon any accelerators? Because I'm
Yes.
hearing just incubators.
Great question. Great question. I think that's a good lead into the presentation that I have prepared. It's just a small presentation to give you an idea of who the players are and how to get in touch with them. So if we can get to the second slide. This is by no means an extensive list, and I'm sure I've forgotten somebody and I'm going to make somebody mad at me, but these are the main that came to mind. Definitely there is Berytech, who's been here since the beginning, and they're doing a fantastic job, and we'll get to their metrics in a bit. But if we can move to the second slide, I can, second slide. Okay. So as far as financial help, what we just discussed with Eli and Kafalat is just a loan guarantee. And this is a mechanism that helps you get loans and get money without having to actually have a building that you have to put up to the bank so that they can, you know, commission it or put it as a reserve in case you don't pay. But these are other types of business or financial help that you can get from these different players. So you've got Cedrus Ventures, which is geared towards smaller businesses. So I think their ticket item is something around 500,000 to $1 million. This is their contact information. Of course, the Berytech fund that Crystal is going to talk to us about in a bit. And this is more like a VC type of fund, and they invest in early stage. We've got Manara Capital that actually works on a bit bigger ticket items. Middle East Venture Partner is also another VC, and they do slightly higher than Cedrus Venture, a bit less than Manara Capital, somewhere in between. Riyadh Enterprise Development, which is, I think, something like a $30 or $40 million fund that is backed by Abraj, and that started here to boost the SMEs. Kafalat, with Eli that we just talked about, and the Lebanese Business Angels. Business Angels do help by boosting very, very early stage companies in return for equity. You can also get money from the different competitions that are around. So we've got the MIT Business Plan competition that I'm sure a lot of you have heard of. We've got the Grow My Business, which is also part of the MIT, and it's a better initiative for the Beirut Traders Association, and I think Bank Audi. And this is actually still going on. So if anybody's interested, 50 million Lebanese liras are up for grabs, and I think the deadline is March 29th. So growmybusiness.me. We've got the Maurice Fadel Prize, which is up in the north. It's also like a business plan competition. And the Badr Deutsche Bank Creative Awards, which are really targeted at creative companies. Now you were asking about accelerators. Of course, we've got Berytech. We just talked about the incubating efforts that Berytech has been undertaking since 2002. We've got South Big, which is sort of an incubator. It's located in the south of Lebanon, and they do a lot of business development there. Biyat, which is located in the north. Now, the Sequence, do I have anybody from Sequence here? We've got a co-founder of Sequence, so talk to him. They are not an incubator. Let me get this right. They're not an incubator. They're an accelerator based on the Y Combinator model and all of the best practices. And you can call them as an accelerator, I think. And they're moving to Hamra soon, so expect the party announcement from them. And then we've got Root Space that offers a collaborative space. And I'm happy to share the slides with you later. I mean, this is the information for you to have. As far as organizational support, so we've got Berytech again, that is an NGO that has European money to help start businesses. We've got Badr, and Grace is a legal consultant with Badr. So you can actually go and talk to her through the entrepreneurs clinics that they have periodically. We've got Cisco Entrepreneurship Institute, which is being run by Amini. This is the Cisco CSR initiative that is being administered with and based on a lot of iExact type of best practices of how to start up your business, how to grow your business, how to actually use technology in your business, etc. So feel free to contact them. Alison Jarab is the lady in charge. There's the Lebanese League of Women in Business, and they do type of networking events for women in business. And of course, Yalla Startup, I have somebody from Yalla Startup over there. So we've got another co-founder in the room. Feel free to talk to him, El-Khoury. Yalla Startup has put together with Berytech Startup Weekend last year. And I don't know if you've heard that they had two of the top winners worldwide of the Startup Weekends come from Startup Weekend Beirut. So great job, guys. So all of these organizations got together and organized GEW, which is something that is a Global Entrepreneurship Week, which happens every year. And it's a collaborative effort. And there is a website that's being put together with the collaboration. Actually, ClearTag is putting it together with Banque du Liban. And it's going to have all of this information. It's going to have a calendar of events, etc. So stay tuned. It's going to be entrepreneurslebanon.org. This is just a screenshot that's been updated since. And I don't even know how to use this. Okay. And that's the end of my presentation. Happy to give it to you. So does that answer your question? The Cisco Entrepreneurship Institute is a CSR initiative from Cisco that is being run by Panelists. And what they do is they give workshops on how to start your business and grow your business and incorporate IT into your business. You have to pay a fee for that, but they have some kind of scholarships for the people that are really in need. Talk to amidis.org, I think /Lebanon or something, and I'll give you the information. And it's Alison Jarab.
One last thing, sorry. Berytech offers incubation for free, or there is a certain fee or certain amount we have to pay?
Okay, first, if you want to talk about Berytech concerning the incubation level, because we have 3 levels. We have as well the accelerator and for mature companies, for mature SMEs. So for the incubation period, you can benefit from a yearly program, Berytech Incubation Awards. So if you have innovative idea, and you can apply and win incubation for free. So from 6 months up to 1 year, and you get as well access to all kind of supports, counseling, coaching during this incubation phase.
Yani you only host one team. You don't take more than one team in Berytech?
Several teams. Depending on the project, and so we look basically for innovative projects, and we target also entrepreneurs in the technology field.
Oh, okay.
You have an in case you're not going to win the award, you can come to Kafalat, get the financing for the incubation. Don't worry.
So, Eli, why don't you tell us a little bit about the different loan options?
Sure. If it is not trade or services, then you can get the financing for the incubation. Don't worry.
Why don't you tell us a bit about the different options at Kafalat?
Well, currently we have 4 different programs running. We have the Kafalat Basic program. It is for everybody. Individuals, establishment, partnerships, NGOs with commercial aspect, co-ops, SIL, SRL. Any legal entity is eligible for a Kafalat loan. The maximum loan amount goes up to 200K. Then you have another option, which is Kafalat Plus program. Under Kafalat Plus program, you have to establish an SIL, SRL, NGO, or co-op. And you have, the loan goes up to 400K, and there is 2 conditions. The first condition is the partners has to contribute 20% from the total investment and not the loan, and a debt to equity ratio, which is a financial condition, 70 to 30. And the third program we have, it is the Kafalat Innovation Program. It is for innovative startups. We wanted, when we created this program, we wanted to help young people having fresh innovative ideas, to establish these ideas. And the maximum loan goes up to 200K. And recently we created a new program for small businesses. Their need does not exceed 50K, where the bank gives them directly the approval without referring to kafalat.
Do I have to have a small amount of money that I need to put down for these loans, or do you just
And
give
kafalat plus, there is a 20% contribution, and the debt to equity ratio 70 to 30. In kafalat innovation, a 10% contribution.
And
Because we don't want to be free money. We want the partners to be a little bit responsible that they have injected some money in the business.
So 10% or 20% with
Yes.
a certain debt to equity ratio. Perfect. I'll get to the audience in a second, but I do have a question for Grace. So let's say I take a loan and I can't pay it. And I have other people that I'm indebted to, and I need to go bankrupt because there's just no way I can pay that money. Now what happens to me? Do I end up in jail? Do I...
Usually when you take a loan, the bank asks for a guarantee, so it's either kafalat or a real guarantee on a car, on wood, on a property. So if you can't pay the loan, then the bank will try to
come after you for the money?
attach, your assets, to get the money from a trust. It's very rare that the banks grant loan without any guarantees. So that limits your unfortunate chance of being bankrupt. Let's say you can't pay the loan and you're in mode cessation de paiement, where you can't pay your debts and loans are part of your, then yes, you may be bankrupt. No, you don't end up in jail. Okay. Basically, if you have a company, the thing with the advantage of having a limited liability company is that it's the company that would go bankrupt. It's not you personally. So you personally nothing will happen to you. You will not go to jail unless there is fraud or unless there is fraud actually.
So if I take the loan and I know that I'm not going to be able to pay it, and I do it on purpose, and I just take the money and go to the Cayman Islands or something,
then that's fraud.
It's fraud. But if I have every intention to actually establish the business, but I don't know, there's a financial crisis or something happens and I can't pay it, then it's fraud.
Then there is arrangements that would be taken by the courts. A syndic will be appointed. You may do a concordat préventif. Your creditors may agree to let's say you do arrangements and settlements with your creditor to, for instance, pay half of the money you owe them. There are certain arrangements, and then if you can't do a salah ihtiyati, that's what it's called, then you may be bankrupt, and it's a whole procedure. A syndic will be appointed, and your assets will be taken care of, and the company will be liquidated, and every creditor, it will try to reimburse every creditor.
See why you need a lawyer, Makram? So we did have a couple of questions from the...
What type of support you provide to the entrepreneur? A lot of those people are techies and have wonderful ideas, but they don't...
Types of what, sorry?
Support. In terms of building their business case, their return on investment, support or the commercial area, which they don't have a lot of...
As kafalat? You're asking
any of you guys, what...
For us in kafalat, usually in kafalat, it's not our role to prepare their business plan, to help them in doing their business. So usually we are in good terms with all these entities that Desiree displayed minutes ago. So we tell people you have many options. You can go to Berytech for incubation. You can go to Badr to get a mentorship, or at Berytech. You can, if you need equity financing at the same time, if you want to engineer a certain financial structure for the company between loan and equity, we can do it. So there is lots of options over here. So we are in good terms in this ecosystem. So we help each other and we forward people to each other. It's a vice versa relation.
From a legal point of view, we offer legal advice to entrepreneurs. For instance, I work with Badr, and they organize monthly entrepreneurs clinic where just entrepreneurs come in and ask about what type of companies they can form, how to register a trademark, how to protect their copyright, and we can offer, we can guide them from a legal perspective on how to do that.
Do they have to pay for that, or anybody
No, they
can?
don't have to pay for that, but you're right. I mean, then if they really want to implement their ideas, then they would have to go to a lawyer and from a legal point of view.
Look, in the incubation program, they can help you on the mentoring level. And you can get it from Badr at the same time. You can go get a free mentoring at Badr, where there is a mentor who will be assisting you, helping you, discussing all the issues of your business. So you can get it for free.
And I think you're touching on productization of research maybe. And I think this is, I totally agree with you. I think that one of the major steps into getting products into market, especially research type of products or innovative type of products, is to actually have a good marketing and emballage, productization, making sure that packaging for that idea in a way that is appealing to the end consumer. And this is a lot of what Berytech does. I think Badr also helps with that a bit. But Crissy, why don't you tell us a bit about it?
Okay. So concerning specifically like you said, the marketing aspect of the company. So we have a team of experts in Berytech. They support your project depending on your need, whether it's marketing or finance, and we have also a network of experts, external experts that we refer you to. And we have a program, the Regional Academy for Entrepreneurs. I advise you to apply if you have a project and you want to start your company. So it's a program where entrepreneurs work on their idea on several aspects to develop their enterprise successfully. And we do as well trainings to develop the skills of the entrepreneurs. We invite experts to share with them advices, and we have also counseling programs, which covers the whole aspect of the company creation process. And regarding, we help them as well access finance. So like we saw several options, but I want just to introduce the Berytech Fund. It's another model of finance. It's VC fund, venture capital, so they take equity in your company, and they are considered like a partner to your company. So you have access not only to money, but to expertise, to visibility, to support, and several partners are members in Berytech Fund. So from international companies to banks, and so you can as well benefit. And you have to start, of course, by preparing your business plan to access this kind of fund.
We have a question in the back.
I wanted to ask Grace, for the SARL, for the foreigners, do you have to have a Lebanese partner within the company?
SARL, you can be all foreigners.
Okay, and what's the rules and regulations for the employment for the foreigners for a company that is held by only non-Lebanese people? If all the partners are non-Lebanese.
You need a work permit for employees.
Yeah.
But as a partner, you're not an employee. So
as a partner,
you're not considered as an employee. You're part of. You're an owner of a business. So you don't need. But
as a partner, how do you hold a work permit here for a foreigner? If you have an SARL.
You have to apply to the Amn al-Aam. There is a certain procedure to follow. You have to also follow up with the social security.
So through that company, they give you a work permit?
Exactly. It's the company that applies for the work permit for the employee.
Okay. Thank you.
Since we're on the subject of employees, Why don't you tell us a bit about the taxation mechanism? Like, as an employer, what do I need to budget in my spreadsheet to actually be able to employ people? Is there like a minimum amount of or a percentage of taxes that I need to pay on them? Do I need to register them with the Social Security? What do I need to do?
Yes, you need to register your employees at the Social Security, and there are contributions that an employer would pay for their employees to the Social Security in the amount of 21.5% in total. 21.5% in total, and the employee pays 2% of salary to the Social Security, and that 2% is actually capped to $1,000. So you don't pay more if you earn more as an employee. And your employer pays also, it's broken down, 8.5%. It's not capped, and then you have 7% capped at 1,000, and also 6%, and then 7% capped at 1,000. So that's the Social Security contributions. And the Social Security, unless you're familiar with it, it has 3 branches, which is the end of service indemnity that you would get at retirement or when you stop working, the medical allowances, and the family allowances. So that's the 3 branches of the Social Security. As for taxes, also it's progressive tax, so it depends on how much is your salary, and it starts at 2%.
So depending on the bracket of amount of money that you actually make, then you pay on the taxes. That's what you mean.
Yes, it depends on the money that you actually pay. If you make up to 9 million Lebanese pounds per year, then the taxes it's 2%, and it's the employer who usually pays the taxes on behalf of the employee. And then it's progressive, then 4%, then 7%. It depends on the range of salary, yearly range of salary.
Good. We did have another question in the back.
Hi, just a few quick questions. First, I was wondering the size of venture capital available in Lebanon, like number of firms, market cap, things like that. The other question is, when it comes to investment funds here in Lebanon, what's the legal form that they take? Are they distinct legal entities, or are they set up as essentially being trust funds that are managed by a fund manager? And then third, I'm a lawyer, so I'm kind of curious, is there any sort of distinctive elements in Lebanese law that is different than other countries?
I'm actually not very familiar with investment funds, but there is a certain specific regulations, and for instance, if you do financial activities, then you will have to get the approval of the central bank, and it's mainly regulated by the central bank for investment funds and financial institutions.
Right, but you don't know, like, for instance, in the US, most investment funds are actually companies, right? With the board of directors, you can hire and fire the CEO. It creates certain flexibilities.
Here too.
Here too as well. It's a company. Okay.
You are required to have an SAL for an investment fund.
Okay, got it. And then legal differences between, do you know of any major legal differences between here?
For instance, a real estate fund or
no, like law in Lebanon pertaining to finance or starting up companies here, as opposed to the rest of the region or world? Things that are weird.
Is it easier to set up a company here versus other places?
It's just a regular company.
Well, any company. Like, for instance, if I have a client come to me and say, I'm interested in setting up a company in Lebanon, would I say, it's relatively the same as your place of where you're coming from? Or should I say, cool, but you should keep an eye out for this because this is uniquely and weirdly Lebanese? Is there anything that you notice that's really unique about the Lebanese legal system?
I think it really depends on the place where you want to conduct business.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to conduct business in Lebanon, then it makes perfectly sense to set up a company here, and it's not that complicated, or it takes up to 1 week. I don't know if it makes sense what I'm saying, or if I understood you correctly.
It's okay.
No, I mean,
it takes up to 1 week to do what?
It takes up to 1 week to set up a company.
Oh, it's very easy here, though.
It's quite easy. It's quite easy. The only thing is that you need 3 partners, whereas I don't know about the States, but in other jurisdictions, sometimes in the UK, you can set up a company on your own.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, from a tax perspective, who was asking about tax? You are taxed 15% on profits and then 10% on distribution. So also it's quite advantageous. It's not, from a tax perspective, it's a quite advantageous jurisdiction. You are not, it's not as opposed to, for instance, the UK or other jurisdictions where you pay more tax.
And then the amount of venture capital available here, is there, I mean, do you guys have an idea of how many venture capital firms there are, how big they are, things like that?
There are a few, I know a few, but I can't give you an exact number of the number of venture capitals.
You have
but it's growing. It's a growing business.
The list over there. But you don't know how much their holdings are.
A lot of, I'll take that question. A lot of these funds are actually what you see, what's out there.
Right.
So Riada is 30 to 40 million. I think MEVP is somewhere around 20. I'm not sure. Cedrus Ventures also, Manara, I don't know. But there is a lot more money that's out there that's not institutionalized, quote unquote. There's a lot of family money that gets invested. There's a lot of conglomerates that invest in different companies of that holding.
Right.
So there's a lot of that, and I'm happy to have that discussion with you afterwards. But I wanted to point out something that didn't come up so far, and it's offshore companies. So you mentioned that really depending on where you want to do business, then maybe it makes sense to have a Lebanese company or not. But I know of a lot of Lebanese companies that set up their operations here and then they set up an offshore so that they can, do business. Can you please tell us a bit more about that?
The advantage of having an offshore is that you pay 1 million Lebanese pound flat tax fee per
So
year.
not even $1,000. This is like $750 or if my
1 million Lebanese pound. This is like 700.
So less than $1,000.
So that's what you pay per year. But offshore is restricted to conducting activity outside Lebanon. You are not allowed to conduct any activity in Lebanon, except for, unless it's in the free trade zone, and to deposit your goods, and also if you want to do studies, you can do studies in Lebanon, but that's it. You have no right to conduct any business in Lebanon. So offshore companies are really for people who want to set up companies in Lebanon, pay minimum tax, and conduct business abroad, consulting, any service abroad.
So as long as your clients are based abroad.
Yes, and as long as yes, you can hire employees in Lebanon. But your main business should be abroad, not in Lebanon. Your clients shouldn't be in Lebanon.
Okay, perfect. We have one more question for Makram and another question here.
So my question is, for offshore companies, if I'm starting a web application, web service, etc., what happens if someone from Lebanon buys it? How do I?
No, you can't do business in Lebanon. That's very strict.
Yeah, I understand, but how can I stop it? Right? I'm selling on the internet. My servers are wherever. I'm an offshore company, and someone comes and buys from me, and he's a Lebanese citizen living in Lebanon.
The general rule of contracts would be applicable because, unfortunately, there is no e-commerce law. There is one that's being drafted and negotiated, and hopefully will be, so that will regulate the e-commerce selling on the net. But today there is no such law, and the regular rules of contracts and obligations would apply. And that would be, if you're selling to Lebanese, then I believe that would be considered as if you're doing business in Lebanon. So you have to be careful about
Grace, could he have like a dual setup where he has a local company with an offshore subsidiary, and then whichever transactions that come from foreign customers can go under the offshore? And the ones, because it's going to be easy for you to find out where the customer, where you're shipping, or where they're, whatever, you can ask that. And then I'm not a legal person, but I'm just asking.
Yes, a lot of people also, start their businesses as individuals. You don't need to have a company unless you grow. It depends, of course, on your liability and how much you owe to people left and right. But you don't need a company if you don't have a big business and a lot of commitments.
Okay, cool.
And we did have another question, actually three questions.
For kafalat, if I have a business and I want to apply for the loan, and I have the 20%, there's any requirement for collateral for the loan?
In case of kafalat plus or innovation, the bank is forbidden to ask for any collateral. Kafalat Plus and innovation. They are forbidden to ask for any collateral.
So I can go to any bank,
Yeah, we
apply
deal-
for a loan,
yes.
tell them it's kafalat, and they'll just give me the loan.
Yes, in Kafalat Basic, the banks are allowed to ask for collaterals such as mortgage or personal guarantee, because it was a little bit hard to convince the banks 10 years ago, very conservative banks, to convince them not to ask for any guarantee. And the logic of financing a project and not a person. It was very hard to convince them. So, but in 2006, when we created the two programs, Kafalat Plus and Kafalat Innovation, the banks were used to our program, so we told them, look guys, you are forbidden now to ask for any collaterals. The project, we are financing a project, and the legal entity, it is the SRL or SRL, and this entity is liable toward the bank and not the partners. So don't ask the partners to provide you with mortgages or any personal guarantee.
You hit the point about, Grace, about the e-commerce law, the new. I mean, we're hearing a lot of those things about this e-commerce law and how bad it is. Actually would render things more difficult for people to launch their e-commerce activities.
Why?
Well,
we do not have an e-commerce law.
I read some draft laws about it, and there was a lot of negative criticism about this law.
Okay, I haven't.
Okay.
I know there is a law being drafted and negotiated, and maybe it will be passed, but I haven't read. I mean,
because clearly the people who wrote it don't understand that e-commerce has no boundaries. You know, it's and they wrote with the fact that we have very close boundaries in mind.
it would be interesting to see how other countries are dealing with it. The ones who have an e-commerce law.
Well, we do have great leadership in this country, so that will have a better, better writing skills here.
We did have another question here, please. And I'm going to take a couple more questions, and then that will be the end of our session. So one more. White, sure.
At this idea where we were talking about e-commerce, we have a law about intellectual property in Lebanon. So for example, if I created a song, I can register this song. If it was stolen, I can sue the person who took the song or the thing I've done.
You don't have to. I mean, as long as you create the song, you're the copyright holder. But
okay.
It's better to.
When someone creates a web application is a product, non-physical product, non-tangible, but a product. Can this web application or a product be registered too? Same for the song or same for the anything you do. So when I own a web application as a product registered, same as the song, because it's not tangible, why can't I sue someone if he stole or did something very similar to my application? But the idea is the same from a legal point of view. It's still a non-tangible product, it's still a service I'm selling, and I'm registering this service.
You are protecting an idea. You can register you can copyright, I mean, you can register it as a copyright.
As an invention.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and this product, it belongs to me. So if someone tried to take this product or use it in any way, I should be able to sue this person and say, even if it's e-commerce or software, you are not allowed to use or to steal my product without selling.
This person would be sued on theft if they steal it. And let's say they don't steal it, but they imitate it. Then of course you can sue them based on the intellectual property law and the criminal law too. So you will be able to sue.
Okay, then what is the relation between the e-commerce law he was talking about and this? And he can do it in this way.
It has nothing to do. E-commerce law is how you buy and sell on the internet. It's more related to contract and business. So it's commerce it's like eBay and the commerce on the internet. Whereas intellectual property law is how you protect your ideas, your trademarks, your designs, and you prevent other people from using your ideas. So it's different.
Okay, thank you.
We did have another question from the second row, and then we have another question in the back.
If we are speaking about small-scale trade, what are the legal forms needed in terms of accounting legal forms, taxes, and if we want to hire a lawyer, how can we manage these relations?
Sorry, I didn't understand. If you are a small...
If a small scale trade, not a company. So we should have some legal forms with the government for taxes and other papers.
Yeah, that's an auditor. That would be an auditor's work. In Lebanon, taxes are handled by auditors.
Okay, so we just need, let's say, a part-time auditor for the trade, and that's it?
Yeah, you can hire an auditor on a yearly basis, pay him a minimum fee, and just to file your tax returns.
Okay, thank you.
We had another question here, and then I'll take the last question from the gentleman over there. But the first question from Mr. in the gray shirt.
Hi. I have a question for you all. In general, if we want to register a patent in Lebanon, how much does it take time? How much does it take to... Yes.
Not 1 week. You need to... there's the website, the Ministry of Economy and Trade Lebanon, if you Google it, and there you have a link for intellectual property, and it explains what documents you need and the fees required to register a patent. And I assume by the time you file all the requested documents, and you can go there and they can help you too in the intellectual department of the Ministry of Economy and Trade, it would take 1 week.
It will take 1 week to take the certificate?
To issue the certificate of registry of protection.
Really? And is it connected to the International Office of Patent? I mean, do they search in the global patents before registering it in Lebanon?
No, they would not. They will not do this for you. No, they would register it regardless.
But on the flip side of that question, does this patent hold its value anywhere else? I mean, who does Lebanon have treaties with where that patent would be applicable?
Yes, exactly.
I don't know if you know off the top of your head.
I know for copyright, Lebanon is part of the Berne Convention, so you have a priority filing. You're protected in Lebanon only, but in other countries you will have priority. I think for patent is worldwide. You protect your patent. Also, there is some kind of convention. There is. I mean, I can look into that for patents. Okay. But I guess you will be protected. You will have at least a priority filing in Lebanon.
Yeah.
You will have to look for a PCT for.
Sorry?
PCT. Look for a PCT. It is global, where you can file an idea, and you will have 1 year to register it in each and different country.
That's what I know. It takes about 1 year to register it in global offices.
The local one does not cover you abroad.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just have a priority. I mean, copyright. But you know, the Ministry of Economy and Trade, the Department of Intellectual Property, they have many employees there, and you can look into the website and then ask them whatever questions you have. They are of great help there. And
I will check it. Okay, thank you.
Even in other countries, it takes a long time to register a patent. Just FYI, like even in the States, it can take up 3-4 years. Last question with the gentleman with the headphones over there.
I just want to ask about the copyright of the website, national and international.
Okay. As I mentioned, if you want to register a copyright in Lebanon, then you will be protected in Lebanon. But since Lebanon is part of the Berne Convention for copyright protection, then you will have a priority filing. It means it will be evidenced as if you filed first this copyright. But if you want to be protected in each country, you will have to register in each country.
Is there any registration for all? Is there any registration for all international?
No, not in. We don't have regional conventions like, for instance, in Europe you have the WIPO, where you can. The International Intellectual Property Organization, when you can register a trademark and then be protected.
We are talking about MENA region.
No, we don't have regional agreements to protect in the MENA region. You have to register in each country.
Do you have idea about the cost of copyright inside Lebanon?
In Lebanon, yes, it's around 650,000 $650.
$400, around $400.
Great. So if we have more questions from the audience or anybody else, who should they go to? How should they get a hold of you? Contact you by email or through your website?
Through our website.
Through your website. So kafalat.com.lb.
Or our email kafalat@kafalat.com.lb.
Kafalat@kafalat.com.lb. How could they get a hold of you? Through Badr or?
Either through Badr or directly through the firm. So
okay.
I can give my card if someone is interested.
So come talk to her if you...
abuslaymanlaw.com through the website or through Badr.
And Christelle, how can they get updates from
the website, Berytech website, berytech.org. And I wanted to say that we launched recently a blog for entrepreneurs, blog.berytech.org. So you can find articles, very interesting articles for in entrepreneurship. And we update the blog with all events, programs for entrepreneurs.
And if you want to get a hold of me, this is my email address, or you can find me on Twitter @edesiree. Thank you so much for being here today, and I hope this was useful. Thanks.
Thank you.